Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for another Dynamite review of absolutely nothing that happened. I guess the positives I can give it is at least the promos were actually interesting. What shocked me the most was technically the Varsity Blondes, because most of their several weeks on television, they barely got a vignette over themselves, especially over Brian Pillman Jr. that actually sounded like he gave a shit over his character, even though they barely even advertised him as being a second generation wrestler that much unless you watch Dark, that nobody gives a shit about Dark. But 1 hour, 15 matches, job fest. That's literally what it was. That's literally what the AEW Dark is. Christian Cage faced off against Matt Sydal one-on-one. This match was actually pretty alright. Decently paced. I think it was at least 8 minutes in a decent bout. Average psychology for guys that, are more experienced than what we saw against Hobbs and Christian Cage last time he was in the ring. The only cool move I think got botched was a top rope moonsault. And Christian Cage actually won with not that many reversals over to the kill switch, like it's been over the last couple matches. It was just a pace of styles, decently reversed, not a spot fest, and, ended up with the obvious win so to garner momentum into the feud. And it kind of sucks as well because I think this is the second time Christian Cage has opened the show, and you already advertised him as such, giving him a surprise entrance and letting him be like a pay-per-view, a pay-per-view signing, like something like that, where you have to issue your free agent coming over on pay-per-view, and he comes being your opener of the show for more times than he's main evented. That kind of gets people the worst understanding of Christian Cage. Like really? Like, you're telling me the Varsity Blondes should main event all because they're feuding with wrestling the Young Bucks for a title opportunity that no one gives a crap about? Other than that, it ended with somehow FTW came in after a warning from Taz, ending in Ricky Starks distracting Sydal and Cage, ending up in Hook, Cage, and Hobbs jumping them. Hangman somehow came out, but not the Dark Order. The Dark Order came in later in the night to help with something that they're not even affiliated with. And then Hangman gets beaten up too, so FTW gets some momentum. And we head over to a vignette involving Moxley and Eddie Kingston, Mr. Bodega himself, the uncle of the Swerve Show, and of course, John Moxley. That's literally like rat-faced, hairline receding weirdo, extra from the Joker film. That's what John Moxley looks like. Against the Acclaim that I don't give a shit about the rankings because AEW doesn't consist on the ranking system that much. And it sucks too because the Acclaim had some nice barbs for them. Great jabs. If the oral joke involving Renee's podcast, really good disses, saying that Eddie Kingston looks like he's from a bodega. Like, this is what we need, like some personality, like guys that look like wrestlers and have a personality and actually have legit, good material when it comes to trash talk. And kids are gonna like that. Fans are gonna like that because they're always gonna expect like the best over the Acclaimed, and I like it. Too bad that Moxley and Eddie Kingston had to get over. Why does the world champion have to tag with Eddie Kingston? Like, this is transitioning just to feud with the Young Bucks. Why not try to feud with Kenny Omega? Or try to get himself into the title match? Because there's literally 2 mid-carders feuding for the world title. 3 mid-carders feuding for the world title. That is bullshit. How's the TNT Championship seeming more legit than the world title? There was a modified, some type of cloverleaf over from Anthony Bowens. As soon as, and it all started with a beautiful AEW. he usually says the Acclaimed has arrived, and Moxley sucker punch him in the face because he referenced his wife's podcast. So that's about it. Kind of ask for something like that when you name it oral sessions. Like, what are you expecting? Tope Suicida, there was a drop kick. Move like the match was average as it could be, especially off average selling off Kingston. But they were trying to cut off like a bit of Bowen's, and it just didn't play off to anything. Like there was no sell of a body part. Like nothing was getting me that afflicted over the match. And the only people inflicting any cool moves was the Acclaimed. Other than that pile driver for Moxley, it ends with a wheelbarrow DDT. Yeah, they have a tag team finisher now. It ends with Kingston and Mox getting over the Acclaimed. And it sucks too because I like the Acclaimed. I think that they have potential. And they even do music videos, even trash talking like people like the Young Bucks. They bury the Young Bucks. They bury Shawn Spears. So they're my favorite tag team on AEW right now. And they have a splash of charisma. I like Max. I like Max Caster. Anthony Bones looks like a good look like he can succeed separately if he gets a bit bigger. Finds a bit more of his voiceover in the promos. It's really good. I like the Acclaimed. It just sucks that they gotta get Kingston and Moxley over in this crap basic match. Like this could have been average if you had the Young Bucks fail to, you know, try to cheat their way to get the Acclaim to wrestle them other than Moxley, because Moxley supposedly has a feud with the Elite. So wouldn't it make more sense? Like, can we get a few run-ins that consist with telling the story? Like, come on. At least to protect a bit of the Acclaimed. And then we had Hikaru Shida versus Reba. I'm sorry, Rebel. Because they always gotta reference not Rebel like they do for Trent when they just put a question mark at the end of his name. Like, oh, okay. Yeah, I remember it's Trent Beretta. Shut up, Tony. Stop cutting off people's channel. Or Girl on Cinema is gonna do a diss track next time. Bro, come on, Tony. I hope Hikaru Shida drops the title come Double or Nothing. This match was just absolutely nothing. In Zagari's, there was a bit of taunting over using the lockjaw when she got the glove. And then later on when she was hooking over the submission, even though it looked like Rebel already tapped, Britt Baker comes to break over the pin. That's about it. Even though technically she already won, but that was about it. Hikaru Shida somehow still wins over the regret of nothing. Like, you could have just had Rebel continue getting submitted. Like, you already got a title shot in place. And then later on, there would be Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page having a promo. And over the pretty decent promos, like, the Pinnacle had a great promo. I liked MJF's part of it. Then Dax Hardwood talked. And they try to pick up that Shawn Spears actually looks like a badass, trying to beat up a waiter. It's like, I want my wine. And MJF had some stuff to say. It was like it'll be the end of the inner circle. How's it feel facing a guy that always has the last laugh? Like, good promos over this show. And it's a positive. I feel like you should always make your A show promo-oriented, have a couple matches to splash and build over to the pay-per-view. And if you want to make a B show that's whole wrestling-oriented, you make it focused on the lower cards. That's how SmackDown worked, and that's how SmackDown got popular. And now SmackDown is just a brief winded show that people think that's still a good wrestling show, even though it's just better than Raw because it's more consumable. I don't think it's better wrestling, in my opinion. It's the same type of matches. And then we had Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page in the Tony Schiavone interview issuing over the effects of a story that no one really gives a shit, to be honest. I mean, everybody grew up with Sting. Sting is why I got in the wrestling business, and now I'm a man and Sting is old. So now I gotta beat him up. It's like the beat up John Cena shit, but makes zero sense. Like, I understand Sting is a legend, and Ethan Page puts himself as responsibility and proud of so to cost Darby Allin the TNT Championship. If this is over the chagrin of nothing, because this takes absolutely no backstory for me to get behind. I really don't give a shit about Ethan Page since the beginning. People like, especially people like uh, TWR, talk positively, and I can see that he has a bit of a, he has a face that looks like he can make more emotion come out. Like he can be a decent like upper mid carder. He just issues like no charisma. Thanks, this like gets nothing out of me to feel like I care about Sting and Darby tagging over to beat these guys. It just comes off nothing. Like, I tossed you down the steps, and I'm going to be the final nail in your coffin. Like, die. Please stop. You can stop doing promos now. Nothing's stopping you except yourselves. Like, come on, bro. And then we had Don Callis and Kenny Omega trying to issue a contract, trying to give an agreement for the title opportunity, trying to manipulate him and letting him be nursed to 100% by his physical staff. That's about it. It ends with Orange Cassidy tearing the contract, and I just don't give a shit. It is so mid-cardy. Kenny just comes around like, yeah, I'm taking up the butthole. Yeah, absolutely. Like, no, it's just like, that's not how a world champion supposedly acts over a sideshow act. Like, everybody on AEW knows he's the comedy act, and Pac. Like, Kenny already towers over these two, and he already issues that he has no menacing ability, even in different promotions. Moose has already shown, even how small Impact is now, Moose already looks $1,000,000 in the guy that's literally on the TNT, on a channel TNT, holding a world title, and that's sad. No issue of entertainment or character comes over Kenny, and it's just so sad that this is how they got to build over to the pay-per-view. God. Like Chris Statlander acting like a Butch Dyken. Trying to think like the best friends are actually straight. And then we had the Inner Circle obviously accepting the Pinnacle's challenge to the Stadium Stampede. It was obvious. We're going to walk over your corpse and piss on your grave. Hagar was alright over his promo. Ortiz was pretty okay. Jericho trying to, keep the obese Shane Douglas hook with the ponytail, wrinkles, and the cast on his arm. With the lack of muscles and a hot woman around him. Completely fair. Completely fair. Completely fair. And the promo was pretty alright. Even though it was predictable over the sentiment because the Inner Circle is now heel, and it just came over with at least some semblance of emotion. Like a Jericho promo, you'll get at least the ineptly doing a bit too much, or enough to get at least a bit of you being emotionally invested into the match. So, the only sad thing is I'm already pissed off because the Blood and Guts match was show shit. People say, oh, it was okay until the finish. But, even though it took under 5 minutes until people got busted open. Like, there was barely any psychology over the match. So, they didn't anything. They couldn't even separate two ropes. And it just... Why have another gimmick match if the other gimmick match that took over months of build with at least a stipulation, what feels like it should be the end game, isn't a considerable end game. That is brain dead. That is brain dead building over for a story. It's like having a 3 stages of hell match that involves a Hell in a Cell match being the final match stipulation into having a fucking Hell in a Cell match the next month. Like, what was the point? NWA Women's Championship on the line. It would be Serena Deeb against Red Velvet. And this match was as boring as it can be. Like Red Velvet could barely punch. There was a moonsault. a leg lock, like barely anything. I think the most exciting he got over was a dragon screw. Serena Deeb retained over a knee lock. That was about it. A knee lock. The match, like, so very little of build. I don't mind if promotions do inter-promotional championship matches, but can it have essential build, especially if you're going to promote the NWA? Like, where did Red Velvet get any semblance of a title shot? Or, like, what's the importance of the NWA Women's title? And by the way, the NWA Women's title already has better matches than the AEW Women's Championship. Like, come on. Like, how many Joshi jobbers do you guys gotta understand are not going to get AEW over, the women's division over, or anything going for women wrestling in general? Even your AEW fanboys don't even like the direction that AEW is going with the NWA women with the AEW roster. Next up, we had Anthony Ogogo against Austin Gunn, and how to build over like Cody feuding with this guy that just looks like Anthony Bowen's light with less charisma. Yeah, have him face off against Austin Gunn. At least you still got a mixtape going for you, pal. That's all I'm gonna say, bro. And it ends with a flurry of shots into the guts until, yeah, he bled. He got internal bleeding and fell over to the floor. Cody gets a few shots over on Anthony Ogogo. Austin Gunn looks like he's dead for a midsection punch because he's a bronze medal. He's a bronze medal. I mean, still, it's a great accomplishment that you're a bronze medal. You're an Olympian. But it's like, who's like, wait, Kurt Angle's a gold medalist. Why the fuck should I care about this loser? You're third best. The only thing better, and being third best is good because you don't have the pressure of being second best. Then we had, of course, a pretty decent promo from Miro that won the TNT title against Darby Allin the other week, and I gotta say, cool, decent promo, calling the champ a bludgeoning bitch, and bro. These guys actually sound more menacing than the world champion. Miro sounds like a badass, even saying everybody dies, but I insist you die first. Like, that is shit I want to see from Miro, other than that video game jobber bullshit he's done over the last couple months when he was with Kip Sabian. And now he's interloading his attention to what he's been doing in the first place. Being a Euro monstering badass. That's what he should do. The only thing he should bring back is probably Lana, because seeing her wrestle at WWE is like watching, like, the zombies from WrestleMania Backlash. So, yeah. Pretty decent promo, pretty crap match. We're in a pattern, folks. And speaking about a pattern, we of course got our main event for the AEW World Tag Team titles. It will be the Young Bucks against the Varsity Blondes. They're not even an official part of the roster, and plus they're not even like top seed for the tag team titles. It's the Acclaim. So how come we couldn't just get the Acclaim to get over or some crap? I like Brian Pillman Jr. The guy can actually talk. Seems like an average enough babyface, and he's actually not that bad over in the ring. Griff Garrison, like, mediocre as it can be. Jungle Boy light, but taller with no character or not even over. And just average clothesline, running cross bodies, like the Young Cucks. Like, God, it's either a squash match or not. Like, choose the style that you're trying to wrestle, make that the pace, and then you sell that over for the rest of the match. It can be 8 minutes. It can be 5 minutes. Nobody needs over 20 minutes of a match. Especially if the team is not that well known. Julia Hart was there for the air spray. They're doing this beautiful people shit from TNA. They're trying to use over the air spray for a team that's not even that threatening. Trying to do the Mexican crap where one of the Young Bucks walk over and the ropes to do a senton over the outside. There's a sunset flip powerbomb. Like, nothing was suiting over. Okay, they're doing cocky crap. over for a team that they're taking over double-digit time to beat. That should never be the case. They should always be over the dominant side. You give Varsity Blondes a bit of a comeback, and you let the Young Bucks come back with a stupid ass Meltzer driver or some crap. Done. Finito. 7 minutes. Nobody needs to waste that much time. And you're selling over Moxley and Kingston feuding with them anyway, because of course you're going to sell the pay-per-view. So why you have to make it this long? This match was a waste. I mean, I respect the Varsity Blondes promo from earlier over in the show, but we knew that they weren't going to win anyway, so what's the point of pushing this over as the main event? Just the structure of the show is so botched. Every damn week, it pisses me off. Like, there's a lot of stuff I get pissed over in the show, but like, it's basic to make a structure. You sell over what's the most important thing going on to your show and you leave it over for your main event, even if it doesn't involve the world title. You don't put a bottom feeding tag title match as your main event if you know the outcome. That is stupid. It's either you just do the inner circle with the closing promo and end it there. Nobody asked to see Varsity Blondes in any proportion. The matches were either hit or miss or average, and it felt like first half was pretty alright with a few shit matches and a few good matches with building over to the pay-per-view. And some good promos. I will admit that there was some actually decent promos, especially from the Acclaim, the Pinnacle, and a bit of the Varsity Blondes. But the women's matches were shit. The tag matches were garbage. And just the structural part of the show was just abysmal in the second half. Like, they could have just made this a bit shorter, made the matches a bit shorter. Like, continue over with the vignettes and promos so you can build over to your pay-per-view. Because we only have until the 29th. So, you can actually make this pretty okay if you just stick over to that pattern and actually go back to old shows where it felt like that structure meant something. But no, that's why you all go into TBS. So thanks for watching, and that's it for me.